Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing Ride 4. The brand new DLC, the Street Kings, is out now, and we are testing out some of the bikes in today's video. So first up, we are here in Cadwell Park on board the Honda CRF 450RX Supermoto Special, and I gotta say, it's been a long time since we last tried a Supermoto bike, as there's carnage going down into the first corner. I'm down. What a start already. I knew it was going to be hectic going into the first corner of this short variation of Cadwell, but I didn't expect it to be so quite as hectic as that. Well, with a couple of riders going down, we now have the pressure on of chasing down a 6-second lead to Kirsten Malwitz, who leads at the front. But I gotta say, it's been a pleasant change to jump on these Supermotos. Ride 4 really dropped the ball when it came down to the Supermoto bikes, because I literally never use them, and I don't really know anyone else who actually uses them quite often. Maybe once in a blue moon, and the same I'm doing here. It's just going to be this one every now and again. And of course, for the achievements, they had to include one of the achievements to be to have level 5 affinity with this particular Honda, to get very close there to the rear of Alfred Backstrom. So now going on to the right hand side for turn 1. Only a couple more laps remaining now. We're going to be doing what we can to try and chase down the rest of the pack. But beautiful move up at the inside, going into the mountain for turn 3. Well, careful on the lift there as well. And to be totally honest with you guys, the pack hasn't impressed me in any way, really. I mean, the Triumph Speed Triple is awesome. The KTM 690 SMCR, which we are going to do a video about very soon, potentially this Saturday, so stay tuned for that one. Ducati Hyper Motard 950, this motorcycle you're looking at right now, the BMW R1250. Stay tuned because it's coming in this particular video just after this particular Supermoto race here in Cadwell. Now, 10 events, 3 achievements, you know the score. Doing the Road Queens part now, also on board the Honda. And I'd say, you know what, I don't know how I feel about DLC in general, because Ride 4 seems to have just taken all of the bikes from Ride 3 and just put them as DLC. And it seems a little bit counterintuitive, and it's a bit frustrating for the consumers. But at the same time, this is going to sound really silly, I've actually liked that way, because it's given me a chance to keep coming back to Ride 4 and refreshing me with new bikes. Now, when you have all the bikes at once, you can be somewhat overwhelmed and inundated with motorcycles that eventually you don't end up using the bikes you even have. But at the same time, I don't like constantly paying for it. Maybe if they continue to keep dropping packs or something like that and they were for free. Like, we do get the bonus packs and things like that, but still, it's the practice of how modern gaming is going to be forever now, it seems. So as we've been chatting about this particular DLC, we've actually been getting rather close to Kirsten Malwitz. We are now on to the penultimate lap and have an opportunity to finally take the lead. Now, we did qualify well, of course. We did start in 6th position, which I decided to take a back seat for and try and chase them down. But here we are now, getting closer and closer to the German ahead of us as we get a little bit sideways, going into that right-hander there, just to turn 8, but turn 9 now for Barn. We'll have one more lap to do the business and to take over at the front and get ahead of Kirsten. We might be able to go up on the inside here, up on the right-hand side, but we're going to the left and try and go round the outside. It'd be a brave manoeuvre if we can get it done, and I tell you what, we might be able to get it stuck there, but going into turn 1 a little bit wide, we might have a line where we can go round the outside, one of my favourite moves to do in Cadwell, and you better believe that is exactly where we've just gone for the move, over the mountain, and we have retaken the lead, or at least got the lead for the very first time here today. I'm very pleased with that performance, and I gotta say, it does feel good to be on the Supermoto, but the tracks are just not built for Supermotos. You can see even when they put the events up for the Supermotos, they're trying to find out what sort of events to put on there. Shorter circuits, Okayama, Takuba, Cadwell Park, Brands Hatch, shorter variants, but there it is for now, guys. A victory for DrAce on board the Honda Supermoto. So we'll move across now to the French Riviera, and in the past I've been rather harsh on this particular track, and I've got to say, the more I try it and the more I use it with good bikes, the more it grows upon me. And of course, the French Riviera has been in the game since, I think, the beginning. I think it was even included in the very first Ride game back on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Well, now going on the left-hand side, this is of course the BMW R1250. So the classic BMW we're going to get into most of the packs, because quite honestly we just don't have enough BMWs in the game. Same can be said for KTMs and Husqvarnas and Harley Davidsons, of course. Now going on to the right hand side for Rock for turn 4. Nice lovely exit on the outside there. We're getting closer and closer to the wall. Don't want to be getting too close and end up clipping it and end up ruining this wonderful livery on this BMW. Now of course, speaking of liveries, you still can't change any of the liveries on the BMW bikes in the game. Apparently it's a licensing issue or something to do with that, so unfortunately we won't be able to customise this one either. We're going into the difficult braking zone now, dropping it around for 150 meter zone, getting into the Impingul à gauche, or however you pronounce that, for turn 6. Oh, I tried. And then we're going to go into the hairpin into turn 7 now. Very, very tight entry there going in. A little bit too close to the wall for my liking, but I gotta say, I am quite liking this BMW. We're going to be doing a race with it in a moment's time, so make sure you're still staying tuned. And if you are enjoying the video so far, why not give it a little bit of a like, and potentially even subscribe, because I cover all sorts of Ride 4 gameplay, and even MotoGP and plenty of other bike games. As goodness me, I hit the downshift a little bit too many times there, dropping into first gear at that speed. Certainly didn't pay dividends, we almost crashed. We're going on to the right hand side for this winding and twisty section. Of course, wet track, stock tyres, and even a somewhat heavy motorcycle. Very, very difficult to navigate around this track, but I'm rather enjoying this one so far. I do believe this will be enough to get a 2:23.1, but we'll have to see how we get on going into this right-hander now for embranchment, keeping on the throttle just gently, and then finally bring on the power, go across the zebra crossing and absolutely go for it, 100% throttle all the way to the finish line. And I tell you what, this is going to be close actually. This could be maybe a 2-minute 21:22. Hopefully we get there earlier, but getting across the line, I think that's curtains. We have nailed it. Job well done on the BMW. We now move across to another magnificent track, Alton Park. I absolutely adore this circuit. A 3-2-1. We are going to pull over to one side and allow the riders to get through. We'll start from 12th position and then work our way through. So of course this is again another wet track. It's not going to rain, it's going to dry at some point, and being on the actual wet tyres this time, it's had to change it up from the stock tyres. Maybe stock tyres would have been a better idea for when the track actually dried out. Thought it'd make it a little bit more interesting if I went for the wet tyres as the track dries out. We're going around the outside of Luke Fox. He'll be our first victim since we started this Grand Prix. Patrick Holmes, you'll be next as well, my friend. He's on board the Aprilia. And chuck it onto the left-hand side. Ran it a little bit wide there. We're onto the grass. This is not ideal. I need to get off the grass, stop cutting it, and get back to it. That's a bit of a mistake there on my behalf. We're going into the Shell Oils corner for turn 5. Get the acceleration going, and then make sure we're hard on the brakes for turn 6 for this little chicane. Ooh, braking very, very late there. We managed to chuck it by the inside of Luke Fox and Patrick Holmes. That's a 2-for-1 in that particular corner for today. I'll take that one. Thank you very much. Now behind Julio Silva, George Adams and Marco Lasic. Can we go around the outside of Marco? We certainly can. Look at the speed. Look at the amount of overtakes we've done in just 2 corners. Into his we go, and then back onto the right-hand side for Knickerbrook. Getting run to the inside to the Chinese rider. Oh, we've already made a move. Now it's just Mark Vasquez to beat. Petro Donnelly and a couple of riders in between. I don't think anyone's going to crash in this particular section. It's usually with the sort of super sport bikes. For some reason, they tend to drop the bike going into Druids. But right now, we're getting really, really close to Mark Vasquez. We might be able to line him up and dive over the inside like Jason O'Halloran did to Christian Idden just a couple of weeks ago in the British Superbike race. Now going to Lodges, get him behind Vasquez and get it chucked on the left-hand side for Dear Leap. Beautifully done. We are now up into 4th position as we just begin the second lap of 5. On the right-hand side for the Old Hall corner, Charlize Roux. Goodness me, we've fought Charlize Roux quite a lot in the past. Shout out to Johnny Glamour and Boojang Bengana. It's been too long since we've seen those two legendary men take to the track. Into 3rd place we are now, and it's time to pursue the British leaders. As you can see, the track is beginning to dry out now. Nothing too substantial, but right now we probably have to be a little bit careful going on particularly some parts of the drier surface. It could end up ripping the tyres up to bits, but for the time being, we're going to be alright because it's only couple more laps to go. It still looks rather damp. It does seem to be we're sliding the rear a little bit, being too aggressive on the throttle perhaps. Of course, no traction control and no anti-wheelie enabled for this particular bike for me right now as we dive for the inside going into Britain's. That was a aggressive move, but it certainly got the job done as Paul O'Connor is racing away a little bit. We'll get hard on the brakes now going into Hizzies and try and get the chicane. Not quite. It's not going to quite work for his lops, but we could try into the Knickerbrook. Onto the right-hand side, doesn't quite have the gumption or the manoeuvrability or the nimbility as once mentioned. I don't think we can quite get through into those particular corners, but you better believe going into the water tower we might be able to have a chance. So as we go into Druids now, just take a look on the bottom right corner of your screen there, just a little bit of front brake, just trailing it ever so gently, and of course as preached many times, just be gentle with the front brake. You're going to see the same going into the right hander here for Lodge corner, just gentle braking, nothing abrupt, nothing wrenching on the brakes, just gradually bringing on the brake, and the same can be said for the throttle as well with that R2 button or RT depending on the controller you're using, and if you're using keyboard then just very, very much good luck to you. Now onto the rear tyre of Paul O'Connor. We are lining up for a potential move. I don't think we're going to go for here, not in the left-hander. It's quite a difficult corner to get into Cascades, but on the exit perhaps we might have the speed to dive up at the inside and get away, but goodness me, he's carrying a lot of speed on board that Kawasaki. He'll be getting onto the left-hand side now. We'll be trying to go around the island bend. Not quite. Shell Oil's corner coming up. Do we have a chance? Not quite. We'll be able to pick him up mid-corner. Oh, it's going to be close. Really on the rear tyre now of Paul O'Connor. O'Connor must be feeling the pressure now being exerted from Dr. Ace. Can we get up at the inside now? Oh, that's a beautiful manoeuvre if I ever did see myself. Now onto the right-hand side for Britons. Now onto the left-hand side. And then that is that. We have navigated perfection and now taking the victory in clean and comfortable style. Well, hopefully anyway. I don't want to jinx myself, but it's usually gone pretty well when I get to the front of Alton Park. A little bit of a slide there on this BMW, and I tell you what, this bike doesn't half slide when you chuck it into the full acceleration on a pretty worn tyre at this point on a drying track, which has dried really, really quickly. It actually dried a lot quicker than I expected. Here in England, things don't tend to dry. They'll just stay damp and miserable forever. But going into Druids, it's looking pretty dry. I don't see any wet patches on this particular circuit right now, but I think we've already got the job done. We're holding on to about a 7/10 of a second lead to Paul O'Connor behind, and as things stand right now, it looks like it's going to be a full British lockout of the podium here in England, so I can't complain with that one. But going onto the brakes very, very gently and somewhat hard at the same time, if that makes any sense, going into the Old Hall corner. I would say controlled braking is somewhat heavy, but gentle at the same time. Going into Denton's, only a little bit of brake, just bringing the brake on just gently, just enough to slow yourself down for Cascades, and then that's it, you've done the business. But I tell you what, I'm pushing quite hard now because I want to try and chuck in some fast lap times. And Mr. O'Connor behind is still there at 7/10 of a second. I anticipated my lead to be a little bit higher than this right now, but it doesn't seem to have come to fruition just yet. But give it time, because of course there's still only 2 more laps remaining, or at least 1.5 at this particular point. The penultimate lap, 0.8 of a second lead for Dr. Ace. I think we've got this one in the bag. But let me know what you think about this pack in general, guys. I mean, there's some decent bikes in here. I quite like this BMW. I'd definitely be using this. And stay tuned for Saturday, because I'll be doing the KTM bike out of this particular DLC, and I actually quite like that bike as well. But yeah, so far not too bad in the sense of the DLC pack. Would have liked to see a little bit better, but it is what it is, and I guess more bikes the better. That's all that really matters. So a quick recap at the tyres as we go into Clay Hill. 42% on the front and 37, maybe 36% now on the rear tyre. It is not looking too bad as far as the tyres go. I don't think we need to concern ourselves with the gap behind. That is now hovering comfortably at a 1.7 seconds lead. As I always say, get the gap over to 1 second and you break the resolve of the person in second, and well, there you go. That is certainly evident right now, but we are chucking in some pretty comfortable lap times. Not really pushing to the point where we're on the limit, but at the same time it's going rather well, so I'm quite pleased with that one. Not sure what's happened to Mark Vasquez. He seemed to be up there with the best of them earlier on during this race, and he's now dropped down to 10th place. But of course this is the final lap, and this is my final sort of feedback and thoughts on the Street Kings DLC pack. I would recommend it nonetheless, because of course more bikes, different styles of bikes to try, and if you're looking for more Supermoto bikes, then you can't really go wrong with this particular pack. But as far as the rest of the bikes go, hey, it's okay. You know what I mean? I paid £4, $3.99. I guess I probably could have spent £4 on something else, but I mean, I made videos out of it, cool, and we have had some decent experience on Ride 4, so hey, I would recommend the £4. I mean, that could have bought me some nice tins of rice pudding, which I absolutely adore, but for the time being, I'm happy with the Ride 4 DLC pack. DLC pack, God knows which number. I'd have to work that out, actually. It probably isn't too difficult to work out which DLCs and how many DLCs we've had, but we've had quite a lot. So we've absolutely butchered Hizzies there for the very last time of this particular video, which is a damn shame. I shouldn't really be butchering that corner at any point. As I tell you what, it's been a while since I've last absolutely nailed Alton Park. I remember watching back, I think I got my video got recommended to me actually a couple of days ago, and that was my world record lap right here in Alton Park on board the Kawasaki ZX6R. And yeah, maybe it's given me the bug to return back to this track and give it another bash. And of course, the guys have been doing the DrAce reverse challenges, which I've been trying to beat them and trying to maybe do some more challenges for the future. But for the time being, guys, that is going to be victory once again for DrAce, and that is the end of the video. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment and subscribe if you did, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload. Upon that note, guys, thank you for watching, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.